Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. My name is Jeff. I am with PTSSP. Today, we have an interesting video. I am joined by Apostate Alex. Let's bring him on in. Hey,
Hey,
Alex.
hey man, how's it going?
I'm good. My ginger brother from another mother.
I know the people are loving it in the comments, right?
Yeah. Not twins at all, are we? I got a haircut today, so
Well, I need a haircut, so I'm glad I didn't get a haircut today because then we'd both have new haircuts. But I was thinking of trimming my beard like you have it, just for the banter.
Well,
but
it's because it gets patchy here, so I can't really grow a proper beard.
I grow too much of a beard. I have to trim it way more than I wish I did.
Fair enough. Well, you can own that. You can have that as you. That way people can tell it apart.
Exactly. How are you doing, dude? How's it going with your channel? How many subs you at?
You know what? Just about to crack 700. So getting close. I've had some such amazing comments. You know, that's what it really is all about, is the support that the community is giving me. So feels good. And you are well past 8,000 now.
Yeah, I think I hit 8,200, which is insane. I actually noticed the other day, yesterday I noticed that the other day, Leah Remini actually retweeted one of my tweets, and I had no idea, completely slipped past. And I was like, why is my channel growing so much? And why am I getting so many views and stuff on my website? And I think that's why, which is amazing. So yeah, the next goal for me is 10K. But for those of you watching on my channel, I do just want to say, if you are watching this, go to Jeff's channel, PTS for Life, and watch this interview. We're streaming on both channels. So go watch it on his channel so that he gets the watch hours. Let's try and get him to 1,000 subs so that we can, you know, get you monetized and formally welcome you to SPTV.
Yeah. And on that note, I'll just introduce myself real quick, because I think a lot of your viewers, while they're similar, because a lot of them probably came from you, my viewers came from you, but a lot of your viewers probably don't know who I am. My name is Jeff. I am from Canada, Vancouver, on the west coast of British Columbia. I grew up as a second-generation Scientologist. I went to a Scientology school. I spent time on staff, as well as a brief stint in the Sea Org. And recently, after about a decade of recovery from being in the cult, I have decided to speak out and become part of this amazing community that is SPTV. Alex is the one who first gave me an opportunity to speak out, and I owe any success to the channel to him. Thank you.
But well, for now, I think when you start appearing on other SPTV channels, you will see the growth from my viewers is nothing in comparison. Like when I first appeared on Aaron's channel, growing up in Scientology, I think I got 1,000 subscribers overnight. And every time I've appeared on his channel, well, I think 2 times I've appeared on his channel, I've got a large number of subscribers, and the other time it's the other few times it's just a little increase here and there. But I think that's all to come, and I'm excited to see you appear on other channels and see what's in store. I know we've been working to try and get some interviews for you, so I'm looking forward to seeing those.
And I've definitely made some connections with some amazing people, and I've actually been contacted by people who are looking to share their story as well, who haven't spoken out. So that's going to be good as well.
That's the most amazing thing about this SPTV thing, is like, you know, when you join Scientology, it's all about helping people, right? I don't know if it was the same for you, but my big button is I want to help people. And they were like, well, Scientology helps people. It's the best and most effective way of doing that. So therefore, joining staff is the way you are going to be most effective in your life to help the greatest number of people. And you think that that's what you're doing the whole time you're in Scientology. And it's just kind of interesting, now we're out of Scientology, we're speaking about our experiences, and we're actually helping people in a real, true way, not under the guise of Scientology. And, you know, when people contact you and say, hey, can I share my story with you? That's, for me, that's like the validation that makes me feel like what I'm doing is worth it, because I'm helping people come to terms with what happened to them, their experiences, and learning what other people went through and helping them in their recovery journey. And that's, for me, that's what makes it all worth it.
Yeah, me too. It means a lot to find out that somebody is not going to continue on or to join Scientology because of something that I had to experience. I spent my entire life battling it, and it's been quite the journey. But if I can save one person, it's worth it.
Exactly. That's why we're here.
Yeah. And I would like to just put a plug. Make sure to like and subscribe both of our channels. That helps with the algorithm, gets people viewing, spreading the word, so we can reach more people. Today,
You're a pro, Jeff. It's like you've been doing this for years already.
years, yeah. Just been practicing. No,
I can tell.
yeah. So for today, I wanted to discuss one big part of my recovery, and something that I have realized over the years that Scientology kind of controlled or took from me, and that's my ability to emote or feel and display my proper emotion. A lot of you have never been in. However, there are many ways this happens, and we're going to go over a few of those now. I was actually discussing this with another YouTube creator who's been doing this for a long time, and the initial thing that he said to me was, there's this article called Joy of Creating. And the Joy of Creating is something that L. Ron Hubbard wrote. It's a very short, it's almost like a poem, I guess, where the basic gist of it is find a reason to smile and you will smile. Wax enthusiastic and you soon shall be. And it basically makes it so you don't confront or face the reality of what you're actually feeling, and just, like my thumbnail shows, put that big smile on, pretend that everything is okay, when truly inside it's not. I am 100% aware of this being the case for a lot of Scientologists who are currently in or were in when I was in. And so that's one of those things that you go over in staff meetings. I'm not sure if you did, Alex, go over this stuff in staff meetings when things are going rough, to force yourself into it. But we used to have to recite it at staff meetings and read it and just like get inundated with this idea of that, oh, don't worry about the fact that nothing's really okay. Just pretend. So do you have any thoughts on that, Alex?
Yeah, I think from my memory, it was the policy was really short and simple. Or I remember reading something similar that just said something like, "The joy in life is creating, splurge on it," right?
Yeah.
And the idea is that what brings you happiness, what brings you joy, is creating stuff. Because in Scientology, the belief is you're an immortal spiritual being called a thetan, and you have more power and ability and control than you can ever imagine, right? Because you are talking about you as a spiritual being, not just your body in this physical world. And because of that, you have these like inert kind of godlike abilities that Scientology is going to help you unlock and access that have been suppressed, and you don't know that you have these abilities. And that's the whole point of the bridge. And the idea of creating is, as a thetan, as a spiritual being, you can create anything, right? So you can create a life for yourself. You can create your emotions, your happiness. You can create money and wealth. But when you look at it in the spiritual level in Scientology, it's like, well, you can create universes. You can create, life. And it looks at it on this bigger scale. So Aaron Hubbard says that the thetan is, it gets happiness and joy from creating, because that's what you're built to do effectively, is to create stuff. And you look at the physical universe, the reactive mind, all of these things are created subconsciously by you as a spiritual being. So if you can do things, if you can create things, even if it's just a small little thing, that will make you happy. So if you can create a family unit, or if you can create a group of like-minded individuals, or you can create, a little club or something, right? Those are things that you can find fulfillment in. And that's where the idea comes from. So if you're ever down in the dumps and you're feeling a bit low, one of the things that they advise you to do is, okay, go and create something, right? Be artistic, or go and write a poem, or read a book, or do something like that, because then that will help you feel a bit better. Retail therapy was a big one. I don't know about you, but that was really pushed upon. I remember when I was feeling low, one of the most common things that was said was, Alex, you just need some more havingness, right?
Yeah.
Which means you need to have more things. You need to just go shopping, just buy something, even if it's food shopping, it doesn't matter. But that's you creating a better existence to yourself in a little way that will make you feel better about yourself.
And I always found that quite fascinating, actually, the idea of buying things. When, if you're, let's say, for the people who have never been in a reg cycle before, if you're ever asked to give money to the Church of Scientology for services of some sort, it's called a reg cycle. And you go into an office and you don't leave until some money is taken out of you. But if you even think, oh well, I'm going to spend that money instead on services, a car, or something that is like part of the mess or the physical universe, you get in trouble for that. Like you're berated for buying things other than Scientology. So I find it fascinating that retail therapy was a part of your joy
Yeah,
of
and
creating.
I find it really funny because if you think about Scientology as a spiritual belief, the idea is that you as a spiritual being transcends the physical world, right?
Mhm.
So I always had this question, particularly now, of like, it just simply doesn't make sense because why, if you're a spiritual being that's not confined to the physical universe, why are you so intent on things to do with your physical existence? Why would going and buying something make you happy? Because that's a physical universe thing. That's not important to you as a spiritual being. It doesn't make sense. But there's lots of like illogical things like that happen in Scientology.
Yep, and it's all part of the trap. So yeah, I just found that was interesting. The joy of creating and how it forces you to not actually confront what you're truly feeling. So
Yeah.
In Scientology, there are communication drills. They're called TRs, or training routines. And the first one, kind of the advanced level, the first one is just to confront. So you're there, you're with your eyes closed, you're 3 feet away from the person, and you just sit there and you can't have any kind of twitches or any kind of reaction, just sitting there. The second part of it is to then sit across from someone with your eyes open and just stare at them in the eye, have no reaction to that whatsoever, and do nothing for, I think you have to do it for 2 hours straight.
Yeah, in the STCC Success Through Communication course, which is like the life improvement course, sort of first introduction to Scientology version of this, it's much more tamed down. You just have to do it for a little bit until you feel better. But when you start going up the bridge and doing TRs as part of a, in the academy as part of a major bridge action, yeah, to pass on the level, you have to do it for 2 hours. So you have to do each step. You have to sit there with your eyes closed for 2 hours. Then you have to sit there staring at someone for 2 hours. It's hundreds of hours of indoctrination through the TRs.
Yeah. And did you do these in your training? I'm not sure where you got to on the bridge for training.
Yeah, so this is the thing I've explained before on my channel of like, I did a lot of major actions. I did a lot of auditing, but not for my own progress up the bridge. So for example, I did a lot of co-auditing. I did a lot of buddying up with people who are doing their TRs, and I'm a staff member and I'm there doing my, training, my hatting, learning how to be the director of Apollo book sales and that sort of thing. In the academy, I'm doing these courses, and then a student shows up who's a paying parishioner and they're doing their TRs. But their buddy hasn't shown up for the day, or he's not there today or whatever. So they would ask me as a staff member, oh Alex, you can you do this? It helps a paying customer, and also it helps you get some auditings, and it's free, you don't have to pay for it. So it's like, okay, great. So I did a lot of that sort of thing. So I spent a lot of time doing TRs. I did the Success Through Communication course, STCC, even though it wasn't, these TRs and things I did weren't because I had got 2 TRs and objectives on the bridge. It's just the stuff that I had done as part of other people's studies, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's called twinning.
Yeah.
When you're assigned to another person to do the drills with you. So back to TRs. So the third step to that is TR0 bull bait. And this is where things go completely off the rails. And I don't know if it's as bad as it was in the past, but there was essentially what it is you have to sit across from the person and they can say whatever they want, the most vile, disgusting things, as though you're in some sort of an auditing session, then you cannot react. You can't twitch, you can't laugh, you can't move, you can't fidget, nothing. And this is where things get pretty heinous. I don't think you're allowed to touch people in this regard, but there was a lot of abuse that would happen during this, and it's again what Alex is saying, just constant indoctrination to suppress any kind of feelings that you're having and kind of numb you to what is a normal human reaction to someone, say, being abusive, or let's say calling you an a-hole or whatever, because they can say whatever they want, and they do say the worst things.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
so I found that was, I mean, this all kind of adds up, but I found that really adds up to and is a big part of why you just suppress the emotions. At least I did.
Yeah, I think bull baiting is such a good example for non-Scientologists to understand what Scientology is and how it works and the effect Scientology has on someone. So the way I explain it to people is I go, so, you know, the intention behind it is good, right? In that, if you are, you know, someone comes up to you and starts shouting abuse at you, you know, if you start shouting back or, you know, resort to violence, that may not de-escalate the situation or be the most appropriate, rational way to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is by training yourself to be able to handle these situations, you can respond and react to anything that's thrown at you in a more rational way, and therefore deal with problems better, deal with confrontation, and dissolve, like de-escalate and resolve confrontation and arguments and so on in a more rational, logical way. That idea makes sense. However, what it does actually do is it takes it to the extreme and ends up being so practiced so much that it suppresses your emotions to the point where when I came out of Scientology, after years of like kind of going about doing my own thing, I went to see a therapist about something completely different 6 years later or something. And he was like, Alex, you are struggling to feel emotions in the room. And in order for us to work on these emotions, you're going to need to feel them in the room so we can talk about them and experience them. And it was at that point, after thinking and talking about Scientology for a bit, I realized it's not that I was feeling an emotion, registering it, and like pushing it down so I didn't feel the emotion or I didn't want to deal with it in this moment in time. I literally wasn't even registering that there was an emotion there to feel. And that is the result of spending hours and hours of doing bull baiting and TRs in Scientology. So the idea behind it is ultimately a good one, but it takes it to the extreme and it's done in such a way that is ultimately harmful to an individual.
Yeah.
Bull baiting is also a really key example of how Scientology may not encourage its members to do horrible things, but it allows people who are inclined to do so to engage in that sort of act. So, for example, you're talking about touching people and assault and this sort of thing. The TRs don't specifically say, you know, to hurl abuse at someone, you know, but it gives the sort of person who wants to do that an opportunity to engage in that. So you think about Danny Masterson and all of that that's going on at the moment in the press, being talked about how Scientology engaged and allowed a sexual predator to, you know, do these things to these women. Well, Scientology didn't tell him to do it, but it gave him a perfect situation and opportunity to engage in those things, which is why Scientology needs to be talked about a lot more and looked at, because there shouldn't be an organization that allows, you know, abusers and criminals to engage in their activities. The fact that it allows it is bad enough. It doesn't need to explicitly say, hey, Danny, you should go and do these things to these people. It should just not allow that to happen in the first place.
100%. And I know of in Vancouver during course time when there was actual underage boys and girls being submitted to foul language, sexually inappropriate language. And this is all just part of it, because when you're a teenager going through this training, and that happens all the time, you go into a session, an auditing session with a pre-clear, they're going to tell you all this stuff, like all their sexual proclivities and the things they did wrong. This is huge in Scientology, and so they're subjected to that constantly, and it almost numbs that as well, where and this is not okay. But at the time it is, and they're taught that it's okay. I will also note when you're talking about making it okay for people who are used to doing bad or who want to do bad things, it's okay for them to do it. It also, I found, makes it okay to attack suppressive people. And by disconnecting emotion from communication, it allows them, you can just say whatever you want. Like there's instance where I was told to get a gun to suppress a person, right? There's I forget the video is Mark Bunker, famous one where he's outside in Florida there, and one of the Morphopolis guys asks him if he's like having relations with animals and so forth, and it's just this idea that the communication can just be whatever, and there's no feeling, emotion, or right or wrong behind it. It's just horrible. So
if you look at the EP, the end phenomena of grade 0, it's that you can communicate with anybody on any subject, right? So the idea sounds lovely. I want to be able to communicate with anyone about anything. That sounds like a lovely skill to have. But the way it achieves that is by suppressing your emotions so much that, well, you can communicate with anyone about anything because you're not feeling anything.
yeah,
So therefore, nothing's going to upset you or anger you or anything because you have suppressed your emotions and pushed them down so much that you're not even registering you have the emotions. So the idea is lovely, but in practice, it's actually doing more harm than good.
Yeah, and there's so many better ways that you can achieve that than being abusive. So.
Exactly. like therapy and counseling, there's not like the idea of talking through your past traumas and experiences and thinking about them and confronting things that perhaps you don't want to confront about yourself. That is a really good practice to have, to reflect and to review things that you've done and said and things that have happened in your life and think about them, process them. Great, do that. That's really healthy to actually look inward sometimes and say, hey, maybe I was a bit of a dick that one time, or maybe I shouldn't have done that. That was the wrong thing to do. It's a hard process, but it's ultimately healthy. But Scientology take it to the extreme and force you to go over and over and over and over and over again, recounting these instances of trauma that you perhaps don't want to, until you just become like a zombie and just look. I've thought about this so much and I'm so traumatized. I just blank out. Like I'm no longer here in the physical world when I'm thinking about this particular topic.
Yeah, exactly. It is pretty amazing. For my recovery, seeing a therapist has been the best thing I could have done. And that was the one thing that we went over was emotion, because that's what I needed to handle. So it's still
a process. Yeah,
there
we go.
Process. Like, I mean, I'm super lucky to have such an amazing, supportive wife that, although hasn't gone through what I've gone through, is able to just listen to me and maybe suggest ways that we can improve it. So I'm pretty darn lucky in that regard, and I don't know where I'd be without her. So the other kind of way that this kind of ties in with being able to just go about your business and do whatever without any kind of what they call backflash, which is where you speak out or refuse to do something or speak against an order, basically. There's a policy of no case on post, and I will break that down a little bit. Post is just a job or a responsibility, but given by Scientology organizations. So it could be like you were director of public book sales. I was a bookstore officer. It could just be a field staff member, which is someone who just disseminates the word of Scientology. And then case is basically all the shit that you're carrying around, your traumatic incidences that cause you to react in what they deem as a negative way, which is to say any way that they don't feel pushes the line of what Scientology is going for, right? So it is actually a crime, as far as I know, to have case on post, and so this you can't be declared for it, I don't think, but as a crime, you can actually get into some serious ethics trouble for this, right? And it's anything that any kind of reaction that they don't deem is agreeable to an order.
Mm.
So if they say go sell 10 more books and it's 9 o'clock at night, if you say, oh, but I'm tired and oh, I don't want to, or I object to this, then that's having case on post and you get in trouble for it. So it's another way to control. And the way it affects your emotions, I found, was if you had anything other than a yes, let's do it, kind of go get them, gung ho, as they like to say in Scientology, attitude, then you're put into this condition where people look down on you for not being a team member, and even though you just want to go to bed.
Again, it's another example of how the concept makes sense and is a good one, but Scientology's application of it takes it to the extreme and results in negative, harmful effects. The idea of, having a job and you being a bit down or a bit low about something, maybe you're having relationship issues at home or family issues or something, leaving it at the door, going to work, focusing on your job and getting the day out of the way and then dealing with it later can be something that's quite healthy because it allows you to focus on what's important, deal with it later, and then you're not just an emotional wreck all the time. There's something healthy in there that can be done. That doesn't mean you should always push down your emotions and you should never feel emotion, which is the policy of Scientology through No Case on Post. Because if you're working for the church, you are always there and you are always working, even if your contract might be, Monday to Friday, 9 till 6, like I was on the day org, or if you're a foundation, 6 till 10 weekdays and all day Saturday, Sunday. The rest of the time that you're spending is going to still be with regard to Scientology in the org. You're going to be training, learning things and so on. And then with book sales and stuff, you're going to be doing extra hours anyway, because you never just do 9 to 6 Monday to Friday. I was often book selling until midnight, 1 in the morning on a Wednesday night so that we could get our stats up before Thursday. But the idea is, cool, leave it at the door. Don't let your emotions and your personal life affect your work life. But your work life has become your personal life.
Yeah. Well, you don't have a personal life.
Yeah, exactly. And when the thing that's upsetting you is a work matter, it's totally reasonable to go and say to your boss, hey, look, you upset me the other day. Or, hey, colleague, you did this the other day that really upset me. And can we talk about it and resolve it so that we can continue working together? Completely healthy. But any of that sort of behavior in Scientology is really frowned upon. No case on post and don't be so banky and stop with a backflash are all things that I heard on a daily basis at London Org.
Well, I was told as a child not to dramatize. Like
Yeah.
if I didn't get what I wanted, I'd cried. Quit being banky. Don't dramatize. I'm a kid. Like, I don't know what these things mean. It's not, it doesn't resolve the problem.
No, it's just don't look, your emotions are not important right now. Stop thinking about yourself and the way you feel about things. What's important is getting the job done. Why are you letting your emotions get in the way of the good work the church is doing? The church is saving the planet here, right? It's the only salvation that this universe has to offer. So it's a really important thing that we need to do in a very short period of time. I've never understood why, because we've lived for millions of years and we'll live for millions more. So why on earth we need to do it all this lifetime, I don't know. But we need to clear the planet this lifetime. So why are you letting something so insignificant as a personal upset with a friend get in the way of this planetary mission? Stop being a dick. Stop with the backflash. Like, this is the way a Scientologist would speak to another in an org, and it would all be under the guise of no case on post.
It's so abusive.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't speak to a normal person like this.
No.
Right? Like, you'd get punched in the face.
Yeah. And if someone's going through something and they're upset, they're depressed, they're anxious, whatever it is, if I have a friend that says, hey, Alex, I'm just having a really bad day, and to be honest, I just need to talk to someone. Okay, tell me everything. What's going on? Let's discuss it, right? I'm here for you. Let's try and figure it out. And I'm, if you want to cry, that's fine. If you want to shout at me, that's fine. Like, please feel emotions, because that helps you process it in your mind. That's the normal way to react to these things.
Mm-hmm.
Not, oh, why are you talking to me about this? This is really not important. I'm trying to do something here. Stop getting in my way. Fuck off with you and your, human emotions.
Yeah, which is a perfect segue into my next topic. And this is a big one too. So in Scientology, they have the tone scale, which is essentially all the emotions that someone feels, apparently. And it's all broken down by tone 40, which is serenity of beingness. So basically, some yogi on a mountaintop, just, everything's perfect. All the way down to body death and actually below for a thetan or a spiritual being. But we'll focus on just body death today. These are all emotions that someone who is in a body, according to Scientology, can emote. And anything below a certain level is deemed bad. And any kind of reaction that is below this is deemed as out ethics, and you'll get in trouble for it. So, for example, there's I think cheerful is 3.0, something like that. And then you go down to anger and antagonism, which is around 2.0 and 1.5. And this keeps going down the scale. If you're at 2.0, which is antagonism, or lower, any kind of communication that you have, according to Scientology, is bank, which is it's your traumatic things happening and speaking, not you. It is purely in that level of non-survival communication, and they don't listen to you. So you always have to have this, even if you're not feeling it, cheerful, let's get it kind of attitude. Anything that is deemed as a good emotion, like cheerfulness and enthusiasm, is good, and they'll listen to you. But below that, you get in trouble.
Yeah.
One emotion I felt a lot of my life was apathy, because I dealt with depression my entire life, and there is literally no way to express that into a communication with a Scientologist. You just can't do it. If you go up and say I'm feeling depressed, or I want to, do something to myself, you don't get listened to. You get, oh, you need to go get some auditing. Just handle it. And that's the solution, right? And it's disgusting. And then if you're unable to express those feelings, then how are you, or if you're not allowed to, how are you going to learn how to express them properly, right? I mean, it's so insidious, and it's something you get taught from day one.
In Scientology, the tone scale, it's set anything below 2.0 on the tone scale is literally a dwindling spiral. It's anything below 2.0 is actually you are succumbing, you are moving towards death, right? Because your reactive mind is what is determining your thoughts and your actions, rather than your analytical mind, which is the more logical, rational part of your mind. Scientology, you're trying to get rid of your reactive mind. So if you are letting your reactive mind dictate your actions and behaviors, then ultimately you will end up in a position where you succumb in life and you're not doing well. So the idea is to not let the reactive mind take over, and instead, you should operate with your analytical mind, which is only associated with positive emotions. Now, the thing to consider with the tone scale is, again, it makes sense that, you don't just go from being, happy or ecstatic or whatever, to then suddenly within a second being crying and really upset and depressed. Like, there is a clear movement of emotions from emotion 1 to emotion 2, and it's a process and a journey people go on. But what Aaron Hubbard does is lay it out in a really scientific formula and saying, if you are at this level, you're feeling this emotion, you are only ever going to go up or down on that scale. And so the next emotion is going to be this one. And there is no other way, which is just false. And there is no scientific backing to prove that. Emotions are transient. They're a gray area. People move around all the time in emotions. That's perfectly normal and perfectly natural. But because of this scientific sort of mathematical formula, if you are feeling an emotion that is considered below 2.0 on this tone scale, then you are behaving in a way that is not acceptable. And so, in order to bring yourself up and have a better existence, you need to feel a different emotion, which is above 2.0. So, if you're feeling depressed, the reaction to that is going to be, why are you being so stupid? And letting the reactive mind dictate your emotions and the way you feel. You know that the reactive mind is taking over here because being depressed is below 2.0. So just stop doing it. Like, you as a spiritual being have the power and ability to control your emotions. So just be OT about it, tone 40 intention, just move yourself on the tone scale, and then you'll feel better. Right. And again, it's a nice idea. If someone's feeling a bit low or whatever, sometimes it's appropriate to say, hey, dude, just, come on, pick yourself up a little bit, cheer
Yeah.
yourself up. Let's go and get a coffee or something. That is a healthy thing. But in Scientology, it's like, no, it's beyond that. It's not just, hey, pick yourself up a bit. It's, why are you being so stupid for feeling a negative emotion? And because of that, you suppress all your emotions to a place where you're not feeling them because you're afraid to admit that you're not anything but tone 40, serenity of beingness, the most happiest person on planet Earth that knows exactly what I'm doing, and it's all fantastic and it's all great. Yes, yay. Like, if you're not that, then you're in trouble.
Yep. And that's something that I've had to deal with a lot. And my wife will definitely attest to this, where I won't even try something if I don't feel I'm going to be good at it right away. And that concept is brought directly from the fact that I'm a spiritual being, according to Scientology, who's done everything already. And so you know how to do it, just do it, kind of thing, right? So that's something that I struggle with as well. I'm not sure about you, but I was taught that from an early age. So
it's such a big learning curve to go from that place to being okay with like being mediocre or being in the middle or not being sure about something. Like, I still struggle with this today. Like, it's so in Scientology, it's all about binary thinking. You're either tone 40 intention, you're with us, or you're against us, right? You're either really happy and you're thinking logically and emotionally, or you're thinking with your reactive mind and you're being banky. There isn't a gray area or nuance. And it's such a big transition to like get to learn, and I'm still learning to be okay with not knowing something or not understanding something or not being sure how I feel about something. That's completely okay. But that's hard because you've literally been trained to, you have to feel this way or that way. And to kind of sit here and go, I don't know how I'm feeling about this right now. Or, I'm going to try this thing and I don't think I'm going to be very good at it. And I don't know, I'm going to give it a go. And if I'm not very good at it, be like, I'm not very good at it, but I enjoy doing it. So I'm going to do it anyway. Like, that is not something that you can do in Scientology. And it takes a lot of work to get to that place.
yes, absolutely. And you just reminded me of something else too, when you said where you have to stop and think if you're not sure about something. And that is just what they call a comm lag or communication lag. And it can apply to, like, let's say Alex goes, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm good. But you can't have any kind of comm lag, because the more gap in a communication or response that you have, that indicates that you are lower on the tone scale, or more aberrated or degraded, which it just popped into my head as a thought while you were saying that. But
Imagine how that looks to outsiders though, right? Imagine, like, so you ask someone who's not a Scientologist, how are you doing? And before you finish the word doing, they go, I'm fine. Right? You're going to look at that and go, okay, you're clearly not fine.
yeah,
Right? But
out.
that's literally the sort of mindset that you have to take in Scientology of like, how are you doing? I'm fine. You cannot, like, how are you doing? I don't know. I've kind of had a rubbish day and this has happened, but overall, I think I'm okay. You can't do that. You have to be that. How are you? Great.
Yep.
How are you?
Ready to go. Let's go.
Yeah. Let's do this. Yeah. Let's clear the planet. Woo.
Yeah, and that is so displayed by the top, by like Miscavige and anybody in the Sea Org who is in a power authority position. It's just hammer, 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 get it done, get it done, get it done. And so that filters down to the regular everyday Scientologists, And if they're not feeling that way and they don't display that, then they get in trouble. At least I did.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. Like the number of times someone would in London or would be like, you know, I would be a bit down because my stats were down, and I'm like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to make this target, and I'm feeling a bit low because I'm having a relationship problem or whatever. Alex, stop being so banky. Like, just get on with it. No case on post. Or someone would ask me to do something. Hey, can you do this? And I'm like, well, yes, I can, no problem. But do you not think it would be better to do it in this way? Because then X would happen, right? And that might be better. That is backflash. Alex, stop with the backflash. Why can't you just do as you're bloody told, right? Which is the way you're treated as a Scientology staff member. I could tell my juniors to do anything I wanted and they would have to comply. And if they gave me anything, I would say the same thing. Don't, stop with the backflash. And that's what happens in Scientology is you have to follow command intention.
Yep. And a funny example of that in my life. So people don't know what I do, but
And Marcus is giving us backflash in the chat. I can see in Theta, Marcus. He's a great guy. I should introduce you.
Definitely.
Yes.
So
Sorry.
I grew up in my career has been home detailing, so like window cleaning and pressure washing and stuff. And when I was down the Sea Org as an adult, my second time, and just before I got out of Scientology, in the Sea Org training, there is how to clean a window. And it truly is, as ridiculous as it sounds, to use newspaper and vinegar, I believe it is. And I have been cleaning windows for 20 years plus, and I never use that method. I use a proper method like a professional with the squeegee and stuff. But if I was down there and I was to clean a window, no matter whether I knew better or not, I would have had to use newspaper and vinegar. And that's a ridiculous example because it doesn't mean anything. Is the window clean? Yes. Good. You got your product. But because Ellery said to do a certain way, had to be done that way. Right.
And you have to remember as well, like all of these policies were developed in the 50s, 60s, 70s when, and they're kind of, it's like a time capsule. They're stuck in that time period. If you look at like most, home window cleaning spray stuff, right? They are like vinegar based. If you look at like the chemical and actually what they're made of, it is a very similar or the same compound as vinegar. So the idea of like, yes, this is a good way of cleaning the window because it's not water, it's not any smudges, it evaporates. Like the science behind it is there. Yes, vinegar in the 50s was the best way to clean a window, but since then science has developed and there are now these window cleaning products that are kind of vinegar but better because they work in a better way and smell nice, and you don't have to use newspaper. You can use microfiber cloths, which for example didn't exist in the 50s, and squeegees, which didn't exist in the 50s. These products have been developed because humankind have thought about it and worked on it and invented something to do the job in a more effective, more efficient way. But because the policy is you cannot change what L. Ron Hubbard said, you have to do it the way L. Ron Hubbard said, even if there is a more efficient, better way of doing it now.
Yeah, and easily provable.
They just shoot themselves in the foot. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a bit of a tangent.
I reckon last little bit on that tangent though. Can you imagine in a world which is very possible to happen where newspapers don't actually exist anymore because everything's gone digital? What on earth is the Scientologists will probably have to create a production facility to manufacture newspapers to use to clean their windows. Like that's the sort of extent they will have to go to because they won't be allowed to use anything else.
Well, a good example of that is they still make CDs.
Yeah.
I don't own a CD player. Right?
I have hundreds of CDs, right, left over from my childhood and growing up. I don't have any way to play them.
Yeah.
But I do have CDs still.
My car doesn't have one. My laptop doesn't have one, right? And they're so against anything digital because it's easy to upload, obviously. But you could always just rip a CD, so it's not like it's like something that will stop it from happening. But they're so worried about their technology getting out and someone using it for bad or something. I guess they want the money. What it all comes down to is the money. Yeah, never mind.
And it allows them to, I'm not accusing them of laundering money at all, but
Of course
it's a
not.
way that money could potentially be laundered because they have to spend millions of dollars building a facility to
Mm,
manufacture CDs. And
right.
then they have to spend millions of dollars buying CDs from their own manufacturing company. And then they have to make money and profit off selling those CDs to an organization that's part of the same company, and then that organization then sells the CDs to the public. So this whole thing allows for lots of money to be made artificially,
Yeah.
just out of something that could actually be done a lot more effectively and cheaper. You could sell an L. Ron Hubbard lecture for the same price as it is currently sold, but it's just a digital download or a streaming platform. Imagine, I don't want to give them ideas here, but it's going to happen, I'm sure, at some point. Spotify, you pay X amount of money a month to stream all of your music. Why
Mhm.
don't, and Scientology have spent millions on like a TV network thing. Why don't they spend money developing an L. Ron Hubbard streaming service where all Scientologists have to donate, $100 a month or something, and they get unlimited access to all of the material up to their level on the bridge, right? And the moment you stop paying that, you lose access to everything, the same as any streaming platform. That would make them way more money than they're currently making. It would be really easy to implement. It would be an online system, and it just makes sense. But they just don't have the logic to do that. Because it
I
doesn't allow them to
disagree.
launder this money through manufacturing CDs, selling them, and so on. Because then it's all on paper. It's very clear how many subscribers they've got, how much money they're making, and so on.
Yeah.
You know,
But I disagree because I don't think that the Scientologists would pay a monthly subscription because they're not listening.
Hmm.
They're only forced to buy these materials because it's command intention. And a lot of people fought against that because they already have the materials. Why would you have to buy it in a different form? So I really doubt, I doubt that anybody, I think probably maybe 20% of the people who bought like the Congresses and ACCs, sorry, the more advanced lectures in L. Ron Hubbard's library would actually pay for a streaming service. And I think it would probably just be people who are on course who needed it, you know?
Well, they've started, I don't know if you're aware, but the new e-meter has to be plugged in every 6 months or a year or something to verify it, right? And in order for you to use your e-meter, you have to have an active IAS membership. The
Yeah.
IAS is the International Association of Scientologists, and you have a lifetime or a yearly subscription, basically. They have recently launched this. I don't know if you're aware, but they've got this like monthly system now where you can pay for your lifetime membership monthly. It's not like paying off the large amount every month until it's paid off. It's like, no, you can become a monthly member, which is a
Yeah.
subscription. You just pay this amount every month and you're an IAS member until you stop paying it. They've already started using this model for the IAS membership. And I'm sure it comes with some terms like you have to sign up for a minimum of a year and, blah, blah, blah. But this model does work. But the reason they're not doing it for materials is because, like I said, lots of money can be artificially made on paper and moved around in the manufacturing, distribution, and sale of their materials.
Yeah. And I did recently realize or find out that you can get the Advanced magazine through an app, and maybe other magazines too, but you have to punch in an IS number to access it.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So it's an interesting way that they're controlling the access for sure. But the reason they're doing it is because if, let's say, myself, and the reason I was looking for it was I was going to do a video on OT phenomena and how goofy it all is. And if I was able to access that, I'd have unlimited content, right? Because
Yeah,
it is bonkers, the stuff that's in this
exactly.
magazine. So yeah, I do have a few questions that had popped up or comments I wanted to address.
Go for it.
Would like to know more about Scientology in Canada. So this is,
Great question.
I
Tell
know,
us. Tell us, Jeff. Tell us
oh,
everything.
it's the biggest thing since sliced bread. Canada has a fairly small community of Scientology. However, there is an immense amount of abuse that has happened in the country, in the organizations. I have a lot of stories I'll be releasing in the near future. However, I'm waiting for my very good friend Gabe, who has her own channel. She just started. She's actually been interviewed by Apostate Alex here, and she is called the Escaping the Cultiverse A. And I think I'm guessing there might be a someone who could throw up her link in the
I
chat
just did
there.
that. I just stuck the link in the chat.
And her and I have been chatting on the background. She just moved house, as you Brits call it, to a different part of the country, but she's still unpacking, and we're going to have a lot of stories, and we're already setting some stuff up. So if you want to find out more about Scientology in Canada and the abuses behind that, subscribe to myself and her channel, and there's going to be a lot of content coming out. And I'm really hoping that by myself and her doing this, then we're encouraging some other Canadians to jump on board. I was talking with another SPTV creator who knows of a couple other people who are speaking out in Canada, but I don't know who they are. So we'll have to figure that out.
One thing to note, I think, is Scientology is not recognized as a charity or a religion in Canada, right? No. But your judicial legal system is a bit different to the States and a bit different to the UK, in that I understand it that the different provinces have different determinations as to whether Scientology has religious recognition or exemption and that sort of thing. So in some places, it does have more leeway to operate than in others. And my understanding is that it focuses its activities in Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal. Those are the only 3 places that have kind of major Scientology bases. And I'm so excited to hear all the stories that come out from you and Gabriel. For those of you who haven't subscribed to Jeff's channel, go and do that now. PTS for life. There's a link in the live chat. Gabriel, Escaping the Cultiverse A. They were both at Vancouver Org on the front lines and have a lot of really interesting stories. So I can't wait to hear those come out and start talking about Scientology around the world, because there's so much focus on Scientology in the Sea Org in LA and in Flag in Clearwater, Florida. There's not enough attention on what's going on around the world. And that's why I started doing my channel, is going, hey guys, yes, there are only like 2,000, I think it was 1,800 Scientologists in the UK, but they are moving hundreds of millions of dollars through the country and through their registration. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in terms of not many people, but large numbers and amounts of money. And also the stuff that goes on, the abuses and the harassment and all of this, the fair game, doesn't happen just in LA or just in Florida or just in the US. It's fundamental to Scientology's very nature, and it happens at every level of Scientology organization, right down to the city level orgs, right down to the missions. And so that's why I think it's really important people like you and Gabriel have come through and started talking about your experiences at city level orgs, because it shows how worldwide and widespread this problem is and why it's important. We need to do something about it. Yeah.
And, you know, if you do have a story from Canada that if you are a Scientologist here and you're not looking to start a YouTube channel, that's fine. It is fairly all-consuming. But reach out to me at imptsforlife@gmail.com. Link is in my description. And just if you have a story that you want told, I will 100% cover it here.
Aaron Hubbard just left a super chat, which I can't, we have to pull up. That's hilarious.
And just to answer your question, L. Ron Hubbard, so that picture there, my niece made that. It is a pigeon, I think, a bird on a tree. The room that I use is actually my wife's work from home room, so that's why that's there. It's kind of her space. And also, yes, that's your cap, and no, you can't have that.
LRH, thank you for supporting the channel. I do love the fact that Scientology's own founder pays for super chats and supports my channel. So I love the irony. It's fantastic. And are you going to give him his hat back?
No.
He said it as an order.
I'm afraid not. Too much backlash from this guy.
Stop with the backflash. Just do as you're told.
I'm being banky. Leave me alone. Oh, look at that.
That fell off. What are the chances? That is some voodoo shit right there.
It looks better on me anyway.
I can't believe it just fell off. That's so mad. Right. We were just talking about it.
Behave yourself. I like this one too. This is great. And this is a good example of how you'd be spoken to in Scientology.
This is Marcus. Marcus is a great. You should speak to Marcus. He used to work in one of the missions, and he's a really lovely guy. I'll introduce you.
Well, hook us up. I will chat. And then this is another interesting one. So I'm not. So Landmark.
Oh, another just said I just used my OT powers then.
I know.
Clearly to just zap the hat off the chair.
That is a thing that OTs can do. You can knock a hat off someone from whatever. So I'm convinced that I'll run covered. So Landmark is a really interesting thing that, as far as I know, derived from Scientology. And Landmark has a huge following in Vancouver. Landmark and Est, which is another of that sort of group thing. So I think that I would love to know more about that and see how, as it relates to Scientology.
Absolutely. There was actually a BBC article recently about Landmark here in the UK, and it was a massive expose on how they operate and what they do and that sort of thing. I'm actually quite close friends with someone who, when I did my interview with Andrew Gold, actually, I met someone on the day who is involved in Landmark and knows a lot about that. And I would encourage everyone to go and research it and look into it. And I hopefully will be talking a little bit more about that on my channel at some point soon.
Cool. Yeah, I would love to learn more about that. There's so many different movements that derived from Scientology and Scientologists who were involved, and then, as they call it, squirreled the technology and took it for their own. Including NXIVM, right? Like that has huge connections to Scientology. So I find it all very fascinating. Anything
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm actually interviewing Sarah Edmondson this month from NXIVM. It's going to be really interesting. So keep your eyes out for that.
And she's a Vancouver girl.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure that she lives here. So she has a really amazing podcast for sure.
Yes, she does. 100%.
Lastly, I would like to thank everyone who has decided to support me and buy me a coffee. I will be honest, though. I didn't buy coffee with the money. You guys have all been waiting to see my puppy. And so I'm going to share a screen with you. This is after a trip to pick up a little chew toy with him. That it's basically just like a cow's tail. And this is what I spent money on. So please enjoy this. This is him proudly carrying it home for over a kilometer, or 0.7 of a mile, all the way home to my place from the pet store.
What is it?
It's basically just a cow tail, like a chew toy. And he would not let go of it. And he didn't sniff anything. He didn't go pee anywhere. He just went straight home and immediately started chewing on it. So if you would like to buy my dog another chew toy, because he's already eaten it, feel free. There's a link in my description. That's kind of where that money goes, is buying my dog treats. So
hey, Jeff, when we get your merch store set up, you should totally have like a whole merch line of dog toys, right? You should do like chewable Xenu things. You should do like, a little hat, like a dog hat, like a Sea Org hat.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
I do make this happen.
I do have a picture of him wearing this. So.
Well, that needs to show up on your
It's
feed
on my
at
channel.
some
You
point.
can see it.
Amazing. I mean, it needs to be in every video.
Every video. Okay,
that should be in your opening sequence.
Yeah. Okay. I can probably make that happen. So yeah, I just want to say thank you for everyone who has supported me emotionally by liking, subscribing, and of course buying me coffee. So it's very much appreciated. And such a good community.
Yeah, and likewise, everyone that's watching on my channel and that's supported my channel, I really appreciate it. Things like Scientology Business, which is my blog website, cannot exist without the support of you guys. So thank you for everyone that's been supporting my channel with memberships, with coffees, all that sort of stuff. I really do appreciate it. And the number one way to help a growing SPTV channel is always to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. So I know I harp on about it all the time. I must sound like a broken record, but it does really help push the video out to more viewers, more people. So the more you do of that, the better, because yes, the money is great and it does help, but the number one priority is getting the message out there. So the more of that stuff that you can do to help promote it, the better. And that's why, if you're watching this, please go and subscribe to Jeff's channel, PTS for Life, and show him some SPTV love. Osa Agent 028, thank you for your super chat. We are watching you. Well, we are watching you, Osa. And if you're in Osa, hello. And if you want to get out, or you need help leaving Scientology, the aftermathfoundation.org is the place to go. They will help you land on your own feet and get your lives set up and recovered and help you escape Scientology if that's what you need.
Yeah. So reach out. It's never too late, and it's much better on the outside.
Exactly. Well said, Jeff.
Thank you. And Alex, thank you very much for joining me. I look forward to our next chat, and to everyone here who's watching and commented and liked, thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thanks for having me. Yes, I'm looking forward to the next one. I'll see you later, guys.
Okay, bye.